Oh, oh, I am sore. Very sore. My name's Ollie Stevenson. If you're new to the channel here, welcome. I do lots of crazy sporting events. I love it. I have just completed my first ever ultramarathon. It was very, very hilly. The elevation gain was 1,350 metres, so more than the mountain of Ben Nevis. It was wet. I mean, given by the look. It was very hard. My feet are broken. I've got blisters everywhere. It was just, yeah, a pretty epic, hard, disgustingly brilliant event. Let's go back to the beginning and take you through my day. I start the day off with a coffee. I then pack my race day nutrition bags, pretty much with all the food I'm going to be consuming throughout the race. I number them so that my race team, aka my mum, dad and girlfriend, know which order to pass the bags to me. And then make sure that the carbs and calories add up. And don't worry, it's not piss, it's just a concentrated electrolyte mix. We pack the bag, grab the shoes, put on some race balm. This gets my legs nice and ready to rumble. And then of course, a race day sliders for pure comfort. All the food, drink and calories that I am consuming, I have already pre-tried in my training sessions beforehand. This is really important when you're doing a big race day event like this, because without the food, the calories, the drink, the fluids, you're screwed. You're not going to be able to replenish all the calories and carbohydrates that you are burning, and you're going to be depleted of your glycogen stores, and ultimately, you're never going to be able to do well in a long endurance event without proper fueling. So this is super, super essential. I knew prior to the race it was going to be very hilly, but the drive there just solidified this. When we got to the race, it was pretty busy. I went and signed in, got my race number, and then did a little bit of a warm-up and basically just looked at everybody who I was going to be competing against, as, I don't know, it's probably not the best thing to do, but it's always what I do. At this point, I'd already made two pretty catastrophic mistakes. Firstly, I'd packed the wrong shoes. I had packed a pair of carbon-plated race shoes. Now, for those of you who don't know what this is basically a very fast race shoe for fast surfaces, aka tarmac, the road, not an off-road trail race where it's extremely unstable under feet, it's not got a lot of support, it's hard, it's rigid, and it's in a very aggressive race shoe. So me going and doing pretty much an uphill, fell cross-country trail race, this is the last shoe I wanted to be wearing. And on top of this, they were my dad's. They were a size too big. I thought this was going to wreak absolute havoc on my legs, on my body, and most importantly, on my feet. And I was genuinely dreading what they were going to look like by the end of this race. Luckily, and I genuinely mean luckily here, I somehow, by the miraculous work of God himself, managed to get through it with relatively okay feet. Like, look, you've seen the pictures, they weren't great, but they could have been way, way worse, and they have been in the past.
Ollie.
Yeah.
And boom, just like that, the race started. It was a 2-lap course, with the first lap being a 23-kilometre loop. As you can see, the surface underfoot wasn't particularly great, and this was the best it really got at the very start. Now, I like to win and I like to go fast and try and be at the front of the race if I can. So the fact that there was a half marathon starting and doing exactly the same loop as I was doing, but just doing it pretty much once, did not help at all. And it made my pacing very, very, very bad, as we're about to find out in a minute. However, the one thing I will say is I did manage to win the half marathon as well as the ultra as well. So yeah, it wasn't too bad overall. In short, for the race today, I consumed around 100 to 120 grams of carbohydrates per hour and basically tried to drink as much as possible. All of my carbohydrates pretty much came from solids and gels. I was using the Torque flavoured gels and I had pretty much every flavour there was. I had lemon cheesecake, strawberry cheesecake, I had banoffee pie. They get very sweet and sickly towards the end, and that's where I start to supplement in some solid foods, which are these oat Aussie Bites here, which seem to do the job really well. On top of this, I have electrolytes in my water bottle, which was that weird pea-coloured liquid that you saw on the video previously. Does it taste nice? Not particularly, but it's just a super concentrated mix that I'm going to sip on throughout the entirety of the day. Each lap I came round, I picked 2 bags up from my race team. Like I was saying, my girlfriend and my mum and dad. That was super handy because it meant I didn't have to carry all the nutrition for the entirety of the run because it's heavy, it's a faff to do, and I opted not to carry like a runner's rucksack, if you want to call it that, or a bladder. Same thing in my eyes. I just don't like particularly having that feeling of something on my back. I'd rather carry the nutrition that I'm consuming and just sort of pick up as I need to sort of go along. So that's exactly what I did. Now for the juicy part, the times, the splits, my paces, heart rate numbers, the whole shebang. So I went through the half, well, 23K if you want to call it that, in 1 hour 46 minutes, which was 2 minutes faster than the second place in the half marathon. Now I overcooked this. My average heart rate for this was 186 So that's higher than I would like it to be in a marathon alone. And now I'm calling this an ultra marathon. It was 4K longer. So it basically is a marathon, but it's longer. So I'm going to call it an ultra marathon because why not? So yeah, my heart rate was about 7 to 8 beats per minute, higher than I would like it to be. That doesn't seem like a lot, but honestly, that compounds, and towards the end, it comes back to bite you. And then my final time for the overall race, which ended up being 45 and a bit, I'm just calling it 46 kilometers, so it was just under that, was 4 hours and 18 minutes. So yes, I bonked, I hit the wall. I struggled tremendously in the back half of this race, way more than I thought I was going to. And actually at the halfway, I didn't feel too bad. Yes, I knew I'd pushed on harder than I would have liked. In an ideal world, the two races would have been separate. The half wouldn't have been at the same time as the full that I did do, but it is what it is. You know, I'm looking back going, great, I probably pushed harder than I wanted to. I managed to semi-recover, hit the wall. It's a good learning lesson. I was sick a little bit in the middle. I couldn't consume and stomach my gels. I felt overheated. I felt tired. My feet were sore. I mean, there's a plethora of excuses I could give, but honestly, I just didn't pace it very well, and that's my own fault, quite frankly, because I've done a million of these races before, or not maybe ultra marathons, but I've done lots of marathons before, and I know what I should and shouldn't do. So the fact I did that is on me completely. But it was a great experience. It was a great course. It was something different. It was great. Now, if you've enjoyed this video, thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you all in the next one. Cheers.